Ladies and gentlemen, tell me when CM Punk is telling lies. He came out today with a long interview with Ariel Helwani after so many years of him, well, being silent, to be honest, when it comes to the media. He gave us a great interview today, talked about a whole lot of things. I recommend you, even if you like him or dislike him, you should check out the interview because there's a lot that transpired. In this video, I'm going to tell you why he was absolutely correct when he talked about AEW, because he said some stuff that I've been saying for years. Many of us have been saying for years, and finally, someone in the wrestling business right now who's active, who has a high profile, who matters in the business, he talked about it, man. He said some stuff, and I think all of those were spot on, and it might even open a lot of eyes that were previously closed about AEW. But I just want to show you a quick snippet of this interview, okay?
How would you describe what it's like working for Tony?
I think that is enough for us to understand everything about this situation. Now, what did CM Punk say about AEW? Well, the biggest thing he said was that Tony Khan is a clown. That's what he said to Tony as he was quitting during All In, where he didn't even get a bus, didn't even get a car. Some people are saying like the Elite was behind that, the EVPs were behind that. They were trying to set CM Punk up like, oh, he didn't even come to the show. Like, could have been myriad of things. CM Punk said, first of all, that they didn't want me back there, man. Some of the talent, backstage, they didn't want me from the get-go. When nothing happened, they were kind of, cold to me. The interactions, I understood the meanings behind them, the intentions. I was no fool. And from what I hear, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, maybe even Colt Cabana, they have a track record of doing stuff like this. I mean, their separation from New Japan, it wasn't certainly friendly at all. They got some stuff going on in ROH back in the day as well, when it comes to this exact same type of drama. It seems like they just stab everybody, just claw everybody, put them down so they can remain at the top. Them and their friends, all friends wrestling, just like Darby Allin says. But yeah, getting back to the most important thing he said, Punk said that AEW is simply not a business. It is simply not a business. And that's so true. That explains everything about AEW. That explains why the show just keeps on sucking. No matter how many people you sign, Tony Khan, it's still gonna be bad because you're looking at this with a wrong mindset. And here's the problem. The biggest problem of AEW is, forget about it not being a business, it's Tony Khan. I've said this years ago, and I will continue to say so until maybe AEW goes out of existence, which I don't want to happen, by the way, because any competition is good competition, but we got to be real about AEW. And just because it's the competition, it doesn't mean we're not going to criticize it and we're not going to tell the truth when it's, having a good program. When AEW is killing it, I'm going to say it's killing it. When AEW is absolutely sucking, which has been sucking for a long while, well, I'm gonna have to say that too. Me personally, I stopped watching AEW every single week when I saw Kenny Omega and Don, whatever his name is, Don Callis. Yes, Kenny said like 69 me Don, as he was the world heavyweight champion of AEW, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm completely done with this company. This is a joke. They don't treat this seriously. If they don't treat it seriously, how should we take it seriously? Talk about like 10,000 titles. I talked about that like a year ago, a year before that. And back then, guess what? Even just a year ago, it was way better. Now we have ROH titles added into the mix and more AEW titles. Like, forget ROH. That was a lot. Tony added even more titles from New Japan. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is insanely bad. Like, I was at first, first few years talking about the fact that, yeah, Tony just started this, he's inexperienced, this is not the ideal situation, but maybe he'll learn. But it's been years now, and a lot of the mistakes he makes, the way he books, it feels like it's gotten even worse from the beginning. Now, like, you gotta be honest, an idiot to do some of the things you're doing. Crashing through tables every week, doing Canadian destroyers every match so nothing matters. They did Shibata versus Bryan Danielson just like that. They're doing Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson just like that. They buried Bryan Danielson. He's literally doing nothing, just exhibition matches. I couldn't open up WWE 2K24 right now and go on an exhibition match. Press random and play them. That's how it feels like when I watch AEW. Just random matches, no storylines in pro wrestling. That's the whole idea of the business. That is what UFC is doing. And guess what? People see UFC as real fights, right? I maybe when they get into that octagon, it's definitely way more real than the WWE. But man, you look at some of the stuff going on in UFC, and it's obvious that they're doing the exact same thing. man. They're just trying to create a story, create buzz, and sell the fight. But Tony Khan doesn't do that. And I don't think he will ever do that. He's just too much of a fan. Just like Eddie Kingston, just like Jon Moxley. Oh, New Japan, man. Yeah, I'm bleeding. That's so cool, man. When I do middle fingers as a 50-year-old man, I don't think Moxley is that old, but he's getting up there. Eddie Kingston, too. Oh, it's so cool, man. But you're not a teenager anymore, bro. I hate to break it to you, but it's not cool. I mean, you look at Jon Moxley. Now, kudos to him, by the way. Regardless of how I might criticize the quality of the product, at least Moxley, right now, it looks like a ghoul. You know, pale skin. He's not in shape at all. But hey, man. Like when I look at everybody else, at least Moxley's showing up every time, every week, or you know, like he showed up a lot, man. He picked up the slack many times for AEW. At least I can respect that. But man, oh man, yeah, you don't treat this as a business. And you know, one of the biggest examples is when I started watching AEW, when I was into this New Japan stuff, it was 2017, I believe, with Kenny Omega and Okada having their first match. Like when Dave Meltzer gave it 6 stars, I said I would check it out, and at the time I loved it. Because it was the first time that I was really deeply exposed to the New Japan style. Then a year went by and I was still enjoying my time, but every match was the same. Then you had like Wrestle Kingdoms that were 5 hours with same matches. By the time you get to the main event, they've done everything already that you didn't care. And the next year, it's the exact same. The next year, it's the exact same. Next week, next day, they do the same match every single time. That was why I started watching New Japan. And when AEW first started, I liked it. And then I see that they basically do the same thing every match. Like, what's the difference? Tell me one difference between Will Ospreay and Takeshita and Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. It's the same matches with no stories. No stories. And then people come up to me and say like, oh, they had this 2,000-year-old history that you need to check out. Like, you have to actually search like a researcher. No, that's AEW's job. You're supposed to tell me that story somehow. Maybe with a vignette. Maybe, you know, like commentary. I'm sure they mentioned it in the commentary, but just because you're telling me something or, you know, doing something doesn't mean it can be great. Like, they had all this for better or worse buzz with CM Punk and the Bucks going, you know, head to head backstage, NDA stuff. You could have turned that into a match. That would have made your money. But Tony Khan doesn't need to make money because he has more money than all of us right now watching this video combined by 15 million, man. Jesus Christ, that's how rich he is. Obviously, he's never gonna care about the quality unless it's too late or unless, I don't know, something falls on his head from very up high and he has one of those, you know, gimmick personality change things. Like, he's starting to put himself more and more on TV as well. And like every time he's on camera, no matter what it is for, it could be for social media, it could be on national television, he looks like a hostage. Like, my boy looks like he's been taken hostage with a gun held in his head. It's like, holy crap, this is your own company. That was your own idea to put yourself on camera, but you're looking like super uncomfortable, looking like a hostage, like I said. Man, the biggest thing that I, to this day, I mean, not just AEW, but since we're talking about AEW, this is one of the things that irk me. Like, you have, let's say, a championship match. I mean, the easiest example is like, you look at any AEW ladder match and you'll get this way easier. But like, you throw your opponent off of the ladder, you freaking kill him, right? Or he's dead and you're on the ladder. And all you have to do is waste a couple of seconds to grab the title to win a championship, right? That's the whole idea of the entire company, right? Or wrestling in general. You want to win. You want to win. 99% of the time you want to win. And like, if you don't want to win, then has to be a storyline, right? Where you want to kill each other. It's so bad that you don't care about the match. Like, you can turn that into a storyline. But man, in AEW, 9 times, not even 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, the guy on the ladder who could easily win the match, get a championship, earn more money, earn more opportunities, interviews, feed his family, or, you know, just have a better life. Instead of doing that, he jumps off the freaking ladder, you know, 20 feet high, jumps off to 5 tables, breaks his arm, and you're expecting me to get behind this guy? You're expecting me to give a crap when you do this in like freaking, they used to do this in AEW Dark and stuff, right? Like, Jesus Christ, how unaware can you be? Then in a normal wrestling match, like Kenny Omega or whoever, even the greatest wrestler, I love Eli, by the way. I wish he had actually he's pretty smart for what he's doing, but that's a whole other subject. But every single wrestler in AEW almost does like 20,000 moves, right? They do 20,000 moves and then they don't go for the pin. They don't go for the pin. JR used to say every single time in the beginning, and even now he says it, like, go for the pin. Sometimes Taz says it. And in the beginning, in 2019, when I first started watching AEW, as you all did, I was kind of annoyed with JR, right? Like, why is he saying go for the pin every time? Then I started to understand the reason why. Because when you don't go for the pin, even after hitting a big move, you just show me that you don't give a crap about this match. It's like you're in the playoffs and you got the last basket. The time is running out. And instead of doing that, you just throw the ball away and then you go take a selfie with a fan. You know what I mean? I don't want to swear because I kept it pretty clean this whole video. But like, what in the blue hell are you doing? You're supposed to win the match. You're supposed to hit a big move and go for the cover like your life depends on it. If it doesn't, then why should I care? If you don't care, why should I care? And this is still happening, and it's going to continue to happen in AEW. Like, they've ruined everybody. I mean, you look at Cesaro, one of the greatest in-ring performance maybe ever. He's seriously impressive. And look at what they have him doing in AEW. Absolutely nothing. Bryan Danielson, absolutely nothing. How many people do you think watch Katsuyori Shibata and Bryan Danielson? Present me that match under the right circumstances with a storyline, build up to it a little bit. Then I will care. But I didn't, because not only did they not present it well, then the match itself was just every single New Japan match ever. It's like, I don't even know what you're doing. 10 years later, screw 10 years later, 2 years later, where will you be? Where will Sammy Guevara be? He's taking all that bump. Like, what's he doing right now? He's irrelevant. How many people will want to see him in WWE? How many people from the WWE will want to see him over there? You know, will want to mess with him, especially with all the backstage BS he's got going. You know what I mean? Hangman coming out there, crapping on his own food plate. You never do that. You never crap where you eat. He did that against CM Punk. There's like insane amount of knowledge in the backstage of AEW, and these guys are like, we're fine. We know what we're doing. All of these things have been said before. Like I said, I'm frustrated about this. I'm passionate about professional wrestling, and I wanted it to be the best that it can be. Some friend of mine, just before recording this video, was like, hey, here's a link for the Roman Reigns like documentary. I don't even know, WWE Live, WWE 24/7, something like that. And the first thing Roman Reigns says is that my father taught me, or my grandfather, whoever it was, they taught me that this business was making money and making money only. It was about this and this only. Making money. This is a business. That's all you need to know. If you're making money, if you're selling the tickets, there you go. You know what I mean? And you want to make more and more money. Because if people are paying you for this, then you're good. Then you're doing something right. Then the quality automatically gets up there. But who's going to pay for what's it going on right now? Besides Samoa Joe. Which people in there, I'm sure, they're just enjoying the money again. Like I wanted to talk about the Will Ospreay thing. He literally says himself that he just is here to, so he can hang out more with his family, so he can work less, right? Like he's not even saying, oh yeah, like he said it after, a couple of weeks. It's like, oh yes, I want to bring the feeling back, make this place better. But the first thing he said when he came here, I was like, I just want to work less, hang out with my family more. What does Mercedes Moné says? She says, I'm going to go back to the WWE one day. That's a slap in the face. Be a little bit diplomatic. At least be a little dishonest so Tony doesn't cry, to his sleep. And then she said stuff like she wants to go to Hollywood. It's obvious that she just wants to treat this, again, just like with Ospreay. I don't want to work that much. I don't need to work that much coming here and still make bank. And that way I can focus on Hollywood. Like, man, with Tony Khan being at the top, it will never change. It will never change. And what CM Punk said was the absolute truth. I just wanted to say the same thing in my own confusing, convoluted words. God damn it! But like I said, I'm passionate about this, and I hope something happens in AEW, recovers, it comes back. I highly doubt it because, again, I said this a year ago, a year before that, and when I go back and look at those videos, the only thing I see is that we actually went back. We didn't progress forward. All the issues got worse. As a matter of fact, before I'm getting out of here, I would urge you to check out this video. It's probably up as a card. Like I said the same things here. You know what I mean? We're talking about December of 2022. And at the time when I recorded this podcast episode, I thought it was way too late to say these things. December of 2022. It's such a shame. There's so much potential and you're just wasting it. So, I don't know. You do you, I guess. That being said, I'm getting out of here.